in predate, or against, which is anti. But if they telling you they against Christ, he's probably going to be the one that's really supporting the Christ.
Exactly. So essentially your so-called Antichrist would be the actual savior to so-called blacks.
Or the one to take all of the heat so that the
Mm-hmm.
Christ can move about unobstructed.
Mm-hmm. And even when you look at it from a surface level standpoint, I always had this perspective because I always thought maybe a woman would be the so-called, not the Antichrist, but the Messianic figure to
She
bring
is.
about,
She's the Black Madonna.
yeah, to bring about her.
It's the Black Madonna. Well, what that mean is we call her Big Mama. The Black Madonna seat is the sacerdotal seat,
Okay.
and she's carrying the baby, right?
And
The baby,
he's the
that's
heir.
the son. She's a widow, and that's her son, and that's why it ain't no father, and that's why they took the mother out of the Trinity.
Mm, mm. This person
We go
said,
so all of the banks gonna have to fall under the banking jurisdiction of Big Mama Bank. Big Mama gonna have to appoint a banking committee that's gonna disseminate resources to all parts of the land globally. In every area, people who know how to set up family banks and family banking committees will also have a chance to be trained by the Small Business Administration in setting up the family bank and how to run the family bank and make it sustainable. So it's supposed to sustain itself,
mm-hmm.
right? And so there's certain things that the families will have to do in order to access their family's wealth. And one of the first things in the top of the list, Big Mama said they're gonna first have to be able to get along. Or I just hold it up until they figure it out. So the ones who got family members that you ain't gonna never get along with, and your remedy is to join with the side of the family you do get along with, and that's why you automatically separated.
Mm-hmm.
You probably haven't even met the other side of your family. It's probably half of the reason you don't get along with the current family. Because now you don't know how to balance the other half of who you are with this half of who you are. And it makes you become resistant to anything that they're doing. But the real estate market, when the when they finish calling in the mortgages for the mortgage fraud,
Mm-hmm.
everybody who own property right now gonna be locked in right now. That's your property,
Mm.
right? The anybody that because all mortgages is founded on a fraud.
Mm.
The mortgage ever since 1933 two, um,
Well,
your signature was the promissory note of the sovereign for them to access the Federal Reserve to pay the bill. They never told us. So what they did is they use our signature to create something called a charging instrument. And then they went to the Federal Reserve and withdrew up to 90% more than what you took out for your house as the caretaker of the estate that you just drew up. By
mm.
them not telling you, that's called a withholding fraud. They
Mm-hmm.
withheld a critical piece of information from you that would have allowed you to understand your rights better. Your signature paid for the property.
So you said,
Now they want you to pay them back for buying the property on your behalf with your signature and your money. So now you fighting to pay a mortgage back that's predicated up on the fraud of concealment.
mm.
the withholding of critical pieces of information in the contract that would have made you approach the contract from a different view. And the crazy part is most real estate agents have no freaking clue. But the bankers know.
Mm-hmm. So they basically paying for the shit twice.
Well, if you really look at it, they probably paying for it because they can take, like, if you check out I get $100,000 house, they can get up to $1 million on that $100,000.
Mm.
And then for if you refi, they get another promissory note and do the same thing from the original promissory note's value. So if you only owe $20,000 on your $100,000 house, you're running the problem. So you're going to take out a $20,000 mortgage to pay it off. Then they still taking out a mortgage on a $100,000 property. The value of the property going to remain the value of the property until it go up. Don't go down, right? Because we trapped in the inflation system. And the inflation tells them how much currency they can withdraw from the Federal Reserve System on behalf of this charging instrument that they drew up in order to finance this property or purchase it on your behalf. Because it's a fraud, the tribal rules will look at each case individual by individual to make sure that the person who purchased the property was not also fraudulent, right? But if everything is on the up and up, like some of these married couples been in these houses for 50 years, now they want to take them from them.
Yeah.
No, not gonna happen. That's gonna be the difference in the real estate market, and the real estate agents is gonna be paid different because they're gonna be getting paid a flat rate to perform a different function, and it won't be as many as it is now. So um, real estate, um, the real estate industry is about to change drastically.
Mm. This person says so.
So is that when the grid is going down? The grid don't have to all go down at once. They can do it in flashes. They
Mm-hmm.
call it rolling blackouts, right? Or they can just jam the internet and let the TVs play,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or they can jam the TVs and the internet, but let the radios play. All of this is with the technology that we have. That's child's play. A kid can do it from his computer if you allow him to figure out how to write the code, right? So now the grid going down is really when the baton changed hands from the old system to the new system.
So that's
You
your
gotta have you gotta have what's called a notification, a mass notification. And then anything that the people need to be informed of, like why is y'all running this whole political psyop stage show, theatrical performance in front of our face like we don't see it,
right.
and make it so obvious, right? It's blood in, blood out,
Mm.
right?
So that's basically like that's what you get your. I just did a transmission on that a couple days ago, and I was basically talking about how the processional circle operates on a cosmic clock that's
Yeah,
connected to their debt clock system, which is also connected to the doomsday clock. When they talking about the 90 seconds to midnight, yeah, I was applying
well,
that to the grid system.
remember, we in cycles. When you go back and read the Emerald Tablets, it say we are in cycles within cycles.
Facts.
You use each one of those clocks on the collective in order to put them into a different cycle that they will never see play out in front of them because it's going to happen at the speed of life,
Mm.
right? You have to be able to intuitively experience life as well as experience life experientially in order to marry the two so that you can see the game in real time. It's like realizing you in the game on a with goggles on. Like you could feel the body of the player in the game when he gets shot and everything.
Right.
But you got the goggles on. You can also move him out of the way of the shooter.
Right.
From when you realize that you're wearing the goggles. Oh shit! I forgot I can control this. And you're activating your God form.
I'm gonna get one more question in, cause we already at we on here about 3-4 hours, but it's a good conversation. Uh, says what recommend black magic is done by the family member closest to them. How should we handle it? So basically, how should we deal with black magic?
A lot of people, you know what? A lot of people didn't try that on me, but your spiritual defenses is activated upon the awareness, and you're supposed to automatically, if you're spiritually intelligent, you will automatically adjust spiritually by changing your physical surroundings so you don't have to interact with that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that comes with the feng shui. It comes with the burning of the candles and the scents to change the frequencies so that all that shit pass over you.
Mm-hmm.
I stay protected. I done had so many big mamas put protection on me. I don't know. I can't even name them all. Some of them might even know their name. And they didn't try. When I was a baby, my mama traveled from church to church getting big mamas to put protections on me, and they didn't all use the same language.
Mm. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Especially during
Some
this
of them
time
spoke
period.
in native tongue, the
Oh.
old Ojibwe languages and stuff.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's
Some
what
of them spoke in Creole. Some of them spoke in Pig Latin. I remember all that stuff.
Dang. I said he was tapped in. But yeah, in order, in the future, man, in order to deviate from that, you got to get away from family members who try to supplicate your emotions to where it's basically transmuted into a weakness. So you really just got to use your emotions, just like Rod Hayes said, as a navigation system to level up, protect your own energy.
Normally, you normally know it's an outside influence when your emotion is out of context.
Mm-hmm.
When it's out of context, that means that you got to shift your perception because you're looking from somebody else's angle, not your own.
Facts.
You got to make sure the emotion is in context, right? Like some people laugh at trauma. A traumatic event happened, and that's the funniest shit in the world to them,
Mm.
right? And some people see the sunset and can't stop crying. The psychology is determining the norm for the individual first. When you understand you have a norm, now you look for what makes the emotion shift. And then you say, okay, was I warranted to be angry because the man behind the counter gave me 39 cents and I should have got 40 cents back?
Mm-hmm.
Was the level that I was ready to take it to equal to the value of the penny that I could have just asked for? You see, so the context of the emotion. A lot of guys been with a chick, and chick been with a guy, and their communication is predicated up on out of context emotions.
Mm-hmm. This person said, "How do
I
you talk?"
can.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What'd you say?
No, I was about to go to the next
You
question.
blinked out.
Hmm. I was about to go to the next question. I didn't know if you was finished already, but you can go ahead and continue what you was about to say.
So when I say Big Mama, I had a physical Big Mama on Earth, and I call Prime Creator Big Mama. Prime Creator, you talk to telepathically. everybody have access to Prime Creator. The women have double access because not only do they access through the interior gyrus like the men on the right hemisphere, they also have what they call direct womb to womb contact through the portal called the womb. So the woman can clasp her hands together, get into a meditative state, put her hands over her uterus, and ask Big Mama anything she wants. But normally she gonna give you the answer in the form of a child.
Mm.
If it's a major thing that you need to change, if it's something minor, she'll just answer it. She'll put somebody in your way with a confirmation for you to know that you're getting the answer that you asked for. That's
Mm.
for the minor stuff. For something major, like if the world need to be changed in a certain way, yeah, she gonna give you a child that's natural born rebel.
Mm-hmm. And you
Just don't
know,
go along with nothing in the system.
and that child's gonna be the one that's gonna break all those generational curses too. That's how it always
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Yep.
That's the chosen ones, you know what I'm saying, coming back to revitalize this whole infrastructure. But you know, it was a good collaboration. And for those who still in the chat, hit up, Rod Hayes' Cash App at the SikApe, money sign SIK capital APE, SikApe. Hit his Cash App up. You know what I'm saying? He's been dropping, a lot of information. We've been talking about Babylonian blood magic, Babylonian rituals within the factions of the government, and how it, connects to everything on a metaphysical level. So if you haven't, you just now came in the chat, go ahead and rewatch the video. And I appreciate you guys for tapping in tonight, and I appreciate you, Ron, for tapping in when we're gonna do another one, man. Because next time I'm gonna have a lot more, receipts that are basically applies to the publications, whatever we're gonna tap into next. So
So,
yeah.
yeah. So we can get some shots out to Drea Talk,
Oh
Sister
yeah,
Drea
yeah.
plugging us in.
Where's she at?
We got lost in communication.
Okay,
We
because
were we wasn't communicating between the three of us well enough.
I did. I tagged her in the post, and I was waiting for her to, you know.
Yeah, it was unclear communication, but I was talking to her when you called me.
Okay, you should have
You
just told her
know,
to come on the live.
well, she couldn't come without being notified sooner because she got family from out of town.
Oh, okay.
You know, so she hosts Drea right now.
Okay. So yeah, we need that triangle offense again. 'Cause the last, I think it was like a year and a half ago when we did our first one, right?
Yeah.
We did it on her channel twice, and they removed the video. Yep.
Oh yeah, we was going in back then.
Yep.
That was
But
the heat up.
I
But
swear.
I'm gonna let her know so when she get her channel back up, she can have us back on over there. We can
Okay.
drop some more receipts on something over there.
Okay. Sounds good to me. But yeah, I appreciate you for coming on the channel. You know what I'm saying? You've
Oh
been
man, I can't wait to come on here and chop it up with you, man. I be just to show the support,
oh
you
yeah,
know, because like I'm looking, I want people to know all the. It's just not one person doing the work. It's a
right,
lot of us.
right.
Right? And then certain ones just work be so thorough, it just hit me in the heart space. I'd be like, I definitely gotta,
Mm-hmm.
show some love and come show some support and that people see this watching me. Look, dude, nice. So yeah.
That's that's coming from a lot. That's a lot coming from you, man. Because like I said, I've been watching you since like during the time when you first got out. Like I've been following you on. I think you was dropping them on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's why I started that.
yeah,
Then
you.
they put me in Facebook jail
Mm,
indefinitely. I was
yeah,
like, what the fuck is that? Is that even a sentence? So then I was about to say, fuck that. I go over to IG. Then I started doing them over there.
mm-hmm.
And
You ain't never try to get your own YouTube.
I got a YouTube, but I don't use it because I do everything off my phone.
Oh yeah, I forgot you don't care about none of this stuff anyway.
Man,
Like
I hate social media so bad. If it
right.
wasn't for the need that I had to get this information out in the public domain and keep
Mm.
putting these people on notice at periodic steps for certain stuff, I wouldn't have. You would have never seen me because I would have never been on social media. I hate this shit with a passion.
I know you do, because
But
like, a lot of
it was
times,
more. It was more important to serve the collective than to just go on and live my life. I had everything I wanted. I was straight. Didn't need nothing else.
mm-hmm,
You know, but I had to get it, shed it all in order to turn into the butterfly when I come out this cocoon.
mm-hmm,
You know,
and that's
and
that's
talking about some miserable shit.
that's one of the main things that lets me know that this like we really like in a knee deep into the end of the simulation, because like it's just so many synchronicities that basically applies to everything that we was talking about. Like, and man, you really just cannot make none of this up. Like, we got this receipts on top of receipts on top of receipts, and like you said, none of this is by accident. None of it.
No, it's all by divine design.
Facts. But yeah, we
I
definitely
just got.
go ahead.
I just developed the skill to learn how to read it
Mm,
from all of the different sciences that handwriting analysis, psychological profiling, criminal profiling, crime scene investigation, and the list goes on and on. And I'm studying because I'm trying to study the people that studying me.
facts.
I
Yeah.
want to know. It took me into COINTELPRO, took me into studying the history of the CIA, the FBI, the KGB, the Bolshevik revolutions. It took me into all of that stuff because I need to know what's going on because something don't look right on the land that I'm from.
Facts. Yeah. So what do you think like what's gonna happen? What you think is next?
Um, I think the fiscal year is going to be the end of the charade. I think by the time the new fiscal year come up, Big Mama Bank should be ready to come online. That's your digital currencies, your Nasara, Jasara,
Yeah.
the SESQE Trust, all that stuff will be opened up, but you're gonna have to know how to access it, and there will be we will have to go around teaching classes on how to access your financial wealth, how to because you're gonna have to have a family bank to funnel it to have control of your own money. We don't want central banks controlling our money no more.
Mm-hmm.
Every family have a right to control their own wealth. We exercise every inalienable right on the book and in the ethers. That means that even if they forgot about that inalienable right, we exercise in that too.
Facts. Yep. Because because they do have to turn it into a technocrat system. Because I know that's the end goal. I know that as far as like the Project 2025 manifesto. Some people said it's like it's all it was fake and Donald Trump he didn't create it and stuff like that. But
You
I know
breaking
that
up a little bit, but there,
okay, I'm gonna come. But can you hear me now? Am I good
it's
now?
clearing up.
Okay, but I know that
Yep.
the Project 2025 manifesto, like that's like in alignment with totalitarianism. I mean, it basically eradicates the whole perception of the far left and what they propagate through liberalism. But at the end goal, but it's really the same thing. It's the same shit. Actually, it's like they both have the same end goal, but it basically gets rid of the hedonistic activity that's coming from the left.
Well, you
But
gotta
that's
remember, it was there was two sets of plans being worked. If
right.
we lose, we fall under the totalitarian permanent dictator of Earth and live.
Yep.
Restricted will environment. If we win, then all of his restrictive will dictatorships fall. And then we have to teach the people how to live as sovereign and autonomous beings on the planet. Because we don't know. We don't know what freedom look like because we haven't seen it yet in this cycle. So you don't have nothing to compare it to. Right? So the old system wanted to create enough fear for them to overtake us mentally, spiritually, subjugate us so that they can come out victorious. There was only one problem. They couldn't remember how to close the conjures out. So the same people that caused the problem had to do the same thing that the people that was victims of the problem, they had to call the same person to come and find out how to revert, how to get out of these conjures.
It's good to hear from you.
That's one thing I'm always envious of the brothers with the dreads because I gotta get some treatments done on my scalp before I grow them.
Hey, and it's funny, I'm a barber, so I always supply everybody with all the different stuff to do with your locks. Man, just everything natural. Just everything natural. That's it.
One question I gotta answer. She says the lady chiefs too. It's probably gonna be more women chiefs than it is men. We had both, and we had under the matriarchal system, we had a whole lot of female chiefs that had feathers, full regalia feathers. So we not patriarchal people. We matriarchal by nature.
Mhm.
So come on with it, blood. What's on your mind today?
Oh man, man, a lot. But you've hit a lot of different points. But one of the main things I wanted to kind of find out, um, what is that process looking like? I'm not sure if you went over it already, but what is the process looking like of getting him out? And what do you think is the most effective way for us to be able to help that process? Because I'm gonna try to
The
do
most
everything I can with my platform, and everything. Yeah.
Okay, so when we get enough of the people from the land to say Free Larry Hoover, they already agreed. They just waiting on us to get that number. I don't know what the number is,
Okay.
but they waiting on us to hit a certain number of people on board with Free Larry Hoover because a whole lot of stuff is encapsulated with that.
Okay.
While we doing this part, they trying to tell him, well, you can go, but this one gotta stay. He ain't, no, we all going. And you're not finna make us pick between each other no more. We not doing that shit no more.
Okay.
Ain't no big eyes and no little U's. And the best thing we can do, each one teach one. Get the word out, get on our platform, explain it to people so they understand that the chiefs of the land has been on the land, but they've been incapacitated by a rogue system.
Okay. Okay.
You know what?
You called them. What are they? Skin. You said skin. What did you call them? The individuals that are intruding right now.
Oh, you talking about the ones that look like us that ain't
Yeah.
us? To trust
Yeah.
me more.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
they
Okay.
came over as conquistadors
Yeah. That's
and
crazy.
reigned. Yeah.
All my paths kind of led here. That's wild. Okay. I've been studying this before I ran into you. Just studying what happened with the Moors and studying what happened with just the Aboriginals of the land. Because my people from Mississippi. So I found out I'm Blackfoot native. And I'm like, man, I went through all my family line. I'm over here trying to get my family. We still got over 50 acres of land in Columbia, Mississippi. I'm trying to figure out what we got to do to just harness this thing on down and just in totality. So hearing what you're saying, I'm hearing I got information. I was studying C.L. Freeman and just different individuals who talk about,
Yeah, Freeman
you
Hill is
know,
the truth.
man, like I'm just man, that's why I'm saying all my roads led here. And
Hmm.
I'm just trying to do whatever I can, bringing all my people together, bringing all my boys together. I'm from LA. I actually grew up in Inglewood. So like it's just it's crazy, like learning so much about what happened with my family, and then just like seeing other people, and then just seeing different people's faces. Now you seeing how common we all are. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
it's just blowing me. I'm a young boy trying to learn this thing. So You know.
Well, once this shit flip, we're gonna be having classes. All the other tribes is gonna be orienting everybody to the particular tribal rules and the culture across the
Okay.
land. So, like the chiefs on the land, we all fall. We got our own tribe, and then we got the tribe that we fall up under from birth. Like I'm a GD, but I'm also Chief Pontiac, local clan, right?
Okay.
So, I got the distinction because the Chief Pontiac was out of commission when the lot came up for us, right? So I
Okay.
had already traversed the land, right, and went around and picked up the keys from the different cultures on the land.
That's crazy.
So this how Larry and them able to win talk with me, flip me signs and flip me messages
That's,
from an enclosed location like that.
and then, man, that's deep. That's crazy. Okay. It's real crazy because I'm learning all this stuff, and at the same time I'm having life experiences. I'm like I got spoke to directly, by a woman. You know what I mean? The voice was like real subtle, and she just basically was just saying that like um that you're a heroic being from a different from time ago, and basically that is many here like you, and that y'all
It's a
about to
lot.
base
It's
it.
a lot more than yeah. So we
Yeah,
had
it's
all of the
crazy.
masters got to be here now. You surprised how many? It's not supposed to be this many of us on the land right now. The fact that it's this many of us on the land mean the problem was horrible,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So it needed all of us, and we all got to look at the problem how we see it, and then one of us got to be able to put it all back together, right? So just like they shattered us and scattered us, when all of the pieces reassemble, we like transformers.
I see. Okay.
So now the information part is where we at now. Inform, organize, organize. Inform, organize. I
Okay.
got all the receipts. The motherfucker can say I'm lying, but they can go argue with them receipts I got.
Man, that's crazy. Okay, so I want to do my part. Like I said, I'm a barber out here. This is not on my page, but I'm actually getting ready to open a shop like downtown LA area. So I need to figure out who I need to check in with, because that all that matter, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like,
What's
and it's
you know the the area you in?
well, I'm gonna be predominantly downtown, kind of off of 8th and Main,
Mm.
like around that area, around the Fashion District. So
What when you know what set you on, you greet one of them brothers with respect. Respect, bro. I'm not from your clique, but I need to check in with the OGs over here so they know I'm on the land.
okay, yeah, so I grew up by the forum, so all my family was like neighborhoods and all that. So I got to figure out who I need.
Yo, if you already from over there, you ain't gotta check in. You already know who your OG is. It's his
Uh,
job to make sure that he communicate across. Let's say, for instance, you rolling 60, you finna go to rolling 20 territory. It ain't nothing to call your OG. I need to cross the rolling 20s, man. I don't need no smoke. I need you to give him a heads up. I'm coming through town.
okay,
All love when you come through. No disrespect, all love. The problem come in is they taught us to not have any respect one for another.
yeah, no, that
So we
man,
don't want to do stuff like that.
exactly, exactly, and
You
that's why
know
I
what I'm
wanted
saying?
to.
But it's just common courtesy.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That was my whole point, because I'm coming back. I'm gonna be going back home, so I'm like, I need to just go make sure. You know what I mean? I don't know the movement. I don't know what it is right now, because my pops
So
got
look,
us
let's
out of
say for
there. So
instance you go back to Mississippi to visit.
yeah,
All you gotta do is find out who the old lady is in the family and you check in with her. She gonna make sure everybody that need to know you there and you on her watch. She gonna make it known,
okay,
you know.
all right, okay, and then yeah, I mean, I got a lot of questions for you, but I know you got stuff y'all gotta get done. So I'm just here for it. Whatever we gotta do.
All right, just
I'll check
keep
on in.
watching. We gonna answer some more questions before we end it.
All right, for sure. I appreciate you.
For sure.
All right.
Yeah.
All of wow. Words of wisdom. Wow. And so, this is what we do. I look at all of the conflicts in history, and I noticed that there's a lot of different causes for conflict, but there's a better cause for peace. You see, you gotta have two sides to fight a war, because when the people are used as the weapons, you take the weapons out of the equation. When the weapons are no longer in the equations of war, then they can't destroy us. They can't crush us. Peace. So as I sit back and I observe, I remember when I was a little boy, we'd be at the basketball court. There's always somebody that want to be unruly, ignorant, foolish, irrational, and hard to work with, right? So when we played basketball, what we would do is we take our ball and go. Take our ball and we would go home. This had a kind of odd effect that I noticed. Be a whole bunch of trash talk, but within short order, if a ball don't show up, everybody go home. They go on their separate ways. You know, you got some stragglers that sit around and stay where they at. Don't want to make no moves. They just want to stay stagnant, but that's fine. They still can't play ball. They can stay at the park on the basketball court, but they can't play ball without a basketball. And those who own the basketball is aware of this. They know this. But if the person who owned the basketball is unaware that he can take his ball and go home, and it would cripple the whole game, he don't have to tear nothing up. He don't have to fight nobody on the court. He don't have to fight the bully. He don't have to slap the little guy. All he had to do is just say, hey, man, get my ball. I'm going home. And he go home. Everybody going to be looking at him crazy. But guess what? Everybody end up going home if no other balls come. Now, expand that on a massive scale, like globally, right? Let's just say that America, no, let's say we don't even use country we in. We want to use two countries that don't got nothing to do with us directly. So let's say we take Brazil wants to attack India, and none of the soldiers are willing to fight in that war. None of them. Not a single one, from the generals to the foot soldiers. How the heck can we die? How can you wage a war when the tools of the war are inoperable? They don't work. You can't. It's impossible. Take your ball and go the fuck home. But you would have to have a call for a specific type of unity across various borders. You would have to have a call for unity that would embrace so many people that when people take their ball and go home, everybody go home. They already know what it's about. They already know what it's about. It's about the march to peace. And the march to peace sometimes is a family-oriented event. Go home. Play with your children. Kiss your wife. Hug your mama. Get wisdom from your father. You know? You don't have to always tear things apart, shred stuff. It's a reason for all of this chaos is because we keep allowing it. The easiest way to stop the foolishness and the ignorance, the easiest way, is all of the mothers tell your child, we ain't fighting for these animals. Because they have to be animals to pit us together to fight us like animals. And if they're going to put us together and fight us like animals, they have to use something against us that would allow us to do that. And the greatest tool in the history of the world is divide and conquer. Now, we've been thinking that there's been one nation versus another nation in these wars. That's absolutely not what it is. It's never been in Germany versus France in World War II. That wasn't even the purpose. World War One, it got nothing to do with no Lithuanian ships. You know, it got nothing to do with that. And it's population control by using the very people that you want to quell the population as the implements of war. They know that we like combat because we mastered the martial arts in all ancient cultures, because we wanted to learn how to defend our clans from invaders, no matter where they may come from. Here we are now, we on Earth. We look around and all we see is conflict, bloodshed, disunity, disharmony, backbiting, backstabbing, resentments, hatred, bigotry, foolishness, and ignorance. All that stuff in one pot, then they stir it up and feed it to us, and we eat it. We don't have to eat it. Every mother should just call her children in the military and just say, come home. We're not fighting for these animals. If we're going to have any type of conflict, we should be fighting in our own interest. Who's gaining? Look at the wounded warriors. See, we need to do something like to federalize this wounded warrior project. And right, but that's the whole point. It was a trick from the beginning. Okay, I'm going to read this. Many nations that does not look like us came together against us and plotted against each other. Right, but see, that's the trick. Because they used the minority population on the planet. By exalting the minority population, they got the smallest group. So at the time that the people of the mass realized that the smallest group is oppressing the largest group, then we can just annihilate them and get rid of the problem. But that was never the problem to begin with, because then they're going to go to the next smallest group and superiorize them. We can't fall for that. This is the end of them games. So it worked like this. Ain't no more white people that was created in this Babylonian experiment. The genetic mess up has been clean. That's over with. Now everybody have the capabilities of rising to their own level of greatness. Everybody. And because everybody can rise to their own level of greatness, we should all be able to pull this plank out our eye and see the enemy for who he is. If we trace it all back, it end up with one person. And you know, they want to tell us, you know, don't be anti-Semitic and all of this. It ain't Israel as a nation over there in the Middle East, because they pawns. They pawns. The Khazarians, the Ashkenazi, the Sephardi, those are pawns. No, those are not pawns. They're more like rooks and bishops on the chessboard. They bigger pieces, but they're expendable. So you got to track it back. Now, how do you track it back? You follow the dollar. You follow the currency, you find out who reaps the greatest benefit of all. Well, I used to think when I was a lot younger that it was the royal families of Europe. But then I came to, through research, to realize that it's not the royal families of Europe. It traced back to one particular house in one particular place in one particular person. And he wears a crown that represents 3 tiers, which is your economics, your military, and political strength. And also it represents your religious strength. By combining them all together, that's where your spiritual weaving comes in, your spider web. So if the world want to know who's responsible, you got to find out who's claimed right of all of the souls on earth to undermine the rights of the people who own their own soul. Now remember, your U.S. Constitution says, nope, your Declaration of Independence says that you have God-given inalienable rights. That means that nobody can't take them from you, but they can trick you out of them if you surrender them. They can trick you into giving up your rights. But there's somebody on this planet that filed paperwork in 1301 to capture the souls of the people. And it's the same one person that seats all of the royalty and confirms them and gives them the appearance of being the problem. Now, the royal families do have things that's going to be dealt with, like adrenochrome and the drinking of baby blood that's prohibited. And you don't know that Queen Elizabeth is not still alive. She's been dead. That's an imposter that they're using over there, so they don't want nobody to know. She's gone. And Pope Francis makes mockery of every single human on earth. He is the animal. I told y'all at the close of the age, I would pull the curtain off the man who stands behind it, pulling the strings in the land of Oz. His name now is Pope Francis, but it's the same symbiote who jumped body to body for thousands of years so he can survive eternally. And he wants to deprive you of your eternal life by allowing his host to live as comfortable as possible. But he have to have a certain biological signature trait. And this certain biological signature trait allows the symbiote to attach. Now, if you go back, you probably won't see it very far back in history, but when they see the Pope, they tell you there's a meeting of, what you call them, bishops, and that they are all in there voting and negotiating who would be Pope. That's cool. It makes sense, but it ain't true. You see, they got a period of time where they have to go through different blood types and genetic signatures in order that the symbiote can actually cleave to the host. And so they have a series of these hosts that sit there in a stasis-like state while the symbiote attaches through his eye into his brain. And there's a part of the brain that connects the two hemispheres, and this little symbiote lodges there. Now, I don't think the world should participate in this rotten, bloody mess anymore. You know what I think they ought to do? I think every head of state need to send me and my thugs over there so I can get that symbiote out of his head. All these kids don't need to keep coming home with arms blowed off, legs blowed off, holes in their body, bullets in their head, plates in their head. That's horrendous. That's atrocious. And it's unnecessary and uncalled for. But nobody wants to trace the issue of divide and conquer back to its source. People should love each other and should try to work together at all costs to overcome this unstoppable evil. But we don't want to do that because the evil turns us against each other, and it began with the Tower of Babel scenario. The Tower of Babel is there as a reminder of the problem and who caused it. So, when you go through the John Wick series, John Wick is a man in love with a woman that he met that got him out of a horrible lifestyle. And as you walk through the storyline, he ends up in part 3. Now, notice there's 3 parts to the John Wick story. And he goes into the desert, and here you have Maitreya. Here you have Maitreya. I told y'all he was the one behind the problem. I posted him in Africa deceiving people on my Facebook page so y'all can see exactly who's responsible for this evil that we are being subjugated by. Also, his pawn or his queen is the Pope. Check that out. His queen is the Pope. Now here's the analysis that you understand what you're dealing with. If you go back in history, you will notice that before 325, there was no such thing as what we call the Catholic Church because Christendom hadn't been established yet. It was established by Pope Constantine. Pope Constantine needed the believers, the faithful, the Almoravides, the defenders of the faith. He needed to capture them, put them in sequestered locations, and under the threat of death, they would have to come up with a common belief system in which they would install the papacy. They did that, but they left us clues along the way, breadcrumbs for us to discover this deception and expose this rotten beast for who he is. Now, the Pope is the queen, the seat that he's sitting in. This was originally called the Noon Priestess. They never changed them. They just call them nuns now. And the Noon Priestess was headed up by a woman who we know her as the Black Madonna. And a lot of people that understand the history of ancient Egypt will call her Isis, the queen of heaven and earth. That's her seat. I'm going to replace her back on her seat if the people want the tyranny of earth to end. Otherwise, I'm just going to go hang out with my peeps in the hood and do hood stuff. We're going to clean up the hood. I would rather clean earth up than to just focus on one local community. I didn't do all this studying for nothing. I couldn't rest in my soul until I found out who was responsible for this treachery. The one you call Yahweh in your Old Testament, that you call God now, is the same one that the Christ called Legion in the New Testament. And your proof is all in the book. When you go back to the tribes of Israel, one of the tribes is called Gad, G-A-D. If you know grammar, Grimm's Law of Grammar say all vowels are interchangeable in translation. The word Gad is your word God. When they translate it in the German, it becomes the word Gut, G-U-T, because the D and the T is interchangeable. Also, in the vowel scenario, just like when you change your F and V's when you go from a knife to knives, it's the same law of grammar. So now we understand that Gad means a truth. Well, when he asked the demon, who are you? He said, we are legion, for we are many. That's saying the exact same thing. Now, the absolute verification is the Pope has declared himself owner of all souls on earth. And it's the same symbiote, it's just a different host. And he thinks that nobody's going to figure him out. I've posted him antagonizing and taunting the people of earth and doing exactly what the text say he would do at this time to expose who he is. He said that Satan is strong and the Christ has failed. Now he's supposed to be a representative of the Christ, but he's telling you Christ failed. Think about that. Don't believe me. Go check all this stuff I'm telling you out. You can just scroll my page and all the evidence you need is on my Facebook. It's not hard to find. Not only that, all of the signs say he the last pope. When you go through all of the historical records of prophecies about the pope, that's it. Because he had to be exposed. And once he get exposed, the books say that the world would look and say, is this him? This one? Is this the one that had us all under this terror and treachery? Well, not exactly, but exactly that's him. He is the hidden hand behind all of the treachery and the wickedness on this planet. They go to JFK's speech, Separation of Church and State. I'm going to give you the historical background of that speech. The Separation of Church and State speech came about because Pope Francis being a Jesuit, and the Jesuit priesthood being the tyrants who come and put the pressure on the presidents and heads of state around the world in order to do the bidding of the Catholic Church. Mind you, this is not a condemnation of every Catholic priest, but the pedophile cult of priests, they all his. You want to see a righteous priest? All you got to do is go to Chicago. Father Pfleger fight for the rights of the people. So that don't mean that all of the Catholics are bad. See, that's how they get us. Because they take a minority to shine a negative light on the majority. We done with that. This is a new era. We're going into analysis.
Go ahead. You can see it. You can see it. Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that he got this. He gets sunburned. Sun takes.
Yeah. So his story, this picture right here, he's supposed to be like 100 and something years old.
Okay. That's another reason too. He 100 or something.
Yeah, but black don't crack.
Nah, black don't crack like this though. My grandma was 100 and something. She ain't look like this.
Mm-hmm. Anybody that know people know where that motherfucker come from.
All
right, let's get back to the post. We got some more dogs roll reading to do.
Yeah, I like this. I like your post on your page. You got some good shit. All right, let's roll that back, baby. That pull back up, please. Where were we? Hold on, we were right here. All right.
Keep going. That's just a commercial. The Curtis Act, passed in 1898, targeted to 5 civilized tribes. Here's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
They call these the 5 civilized tribes, and they changing the names.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically Cherokee and Seminole. Seminole should be Gullah or Gullah Getcha.
Mm-hmm.
And Cherokee is a whole nother word. I can't even pronounce that shit right now because my mind ain't over there.
Mm-hmm.
But the Curtis Act passed in 1898 targeted 5 civilized tribes, forcing them to accept allotments and register on the dog roll. Now here's the key thing. It says to accept allotments. What does that mean?
To accept reservations, I think.
Absolutely. See, so they was moving to put $5 Indians on reservations using this system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's say the 2 acts which came, scroll down, during the period of murky social context. See what that say?
Mm-hmm. Murky social context. These niggas be wording some shit, man.
Right. Now,
not clear. I mean, it's not clear. It's not a clear,
right,
decisive, All
right, now look. This is where the murky social context come in. After the Civil War, when white and so-called black men were intermarrying with Native American women, aimed to help the government keep track of real Indians, while accelerating efforts to assimilate Indian people into so-called white culture.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is what murkied the waters. The 1 drop of blood doctrine, the great melding pot. Everybody giving up a drop of blood, and then they all coming together to try to confuse the genetics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's keep going. We ain't done. By 1865, African Americans and white Americans were moving into the Midwest, into the Indian and Oklahoma territories, all vying for some patch of land that they could call their own and live out their Jeffersonian view of independence.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Scroll down. Let's read some more.
Yes.
He said the federal government poured a lot of effort and energy into the Dawes Commission, but at the same time, it was very hard for both Native and American governments to keep track of who was who.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, this is important when we get to the Trail of Tears.
Okay.
The Dawes Commission set up tents in Indian territory. They told us that we lived in teepees.
Yeah.
Right?
Get the hell out of here with that shit. Go ahead.
Look, go back to Google for a minute. We're going to come back to this page, but we're going to go to Google and type in Hun's tents. HUN apostrophe S tents. And then go to images. Okay.
They look like these right here, though. They look like these right here. I know. Kind of like these.
Those modern tents.
Yeah, but they're like the old ones.
Put in ancient in front of it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Let me do it like that. So there you go, right here, like this kind, right here.
Mm-hmm.
The richer guys had like a more of a nice one though, but like the kings and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing as those.
We didn't live in tents, but I'm gonna show you that in a minute. But first, we looking at these tents. Now, take out Hun and put in Mongol.
All right. All right, it's the Mongol. Let me say these in my that photo. Damn.
Mm-hmm. That one you clicked on have a Sri Yantra on the front.
Because I'm putting a book together called Young Elder and the Royal Haynes book. Over. I'm going into more detail on it.
Hey, look, you know what's out cold? Motherfuckers be talking about. I remember a lot of stuff. All this shit come from Baba, Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, and the government.
Yeah, yeah. This is a good one right here. And the same people was building those igloos, with the ice.
Yeah, but they also got teepees.
Mm-hmm.
They also got nomadic tents that they carried around with them that wasn't so big. Mm-hmm. And those are the ones that they said was our teepees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was only for traveling, right? For these people that traveled when they were traveling, going to battle people.
Right. Because all of the Huns and the Mongols were nomads. They was always on the go. They didn't set up farming camps.
They call it a jir, also called Ura. Is a Mongoloid yurk. Is a Mongoloid tent home. Imagine living in a home that looked like a piece of candy, a Hershey's Kiss, but it's 9 feet height, 15 feet round. Actually, a jir might look rather odd, but they were very comfortable. So it's the Mongoloid. Let me blow it.
So they can fold their house up and go leave at any given time.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's get back to the business at hand. We can go back to that later on. We're gonna pull up a TP from over there, in Asian TP.
Okay.
All right, so the Dawes Commission set up tents in Indian territory. Right, this is somebody named Bill Welch, Director Emeritus of the Oklahoma Historical Society Office of American Indian Culture and Preservation.
Damn, hold up. I don't want it to freeze up while we're doing it. Hold up. There you go. My bad. There you go.
Okay. It's their field clerks scoured written records. Scroll down. Okay. Took oral testimony. Remember, we do everything orally anyway.
Yeah.
And generated enrollment cards for individuals determined to have Indian blood. Now, remember, they didn't have blood tests back then.
Yeah.
How the fuck they know who got Indian blood?
Right.
You gotta keep that in mind because they make it sound like they could just run a blood test like they can now, pull your DNA and say, oh, you Chickasaw, you Choctaw, you Cherokee, you Ojibwe, right? They couldn't do that back then. So look what they're doing. They took oral testimony and scoured written record.
Yeah.
Right? All right, now, that's good. That included authentic Indians. How do they know they're authentic?
They're right. Yeah.
They declaring them authentic under the Dawes Roll.
Mm-hmm.
But it also included lots of people with questionable heritage.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it, and they already know this shit that I'm telling y'all. So it's not a secret. Commissioners took advantage of their positions and enrolled people who had very minimal or questionable connections to the tribes. They were not adverse to taking money under the table. What you say?
What you say?
What you say? They can't be doing that. Look at this say. Index to final roles of citizens and freed men of the 5 civilized tribes in Indian territory. prepared by the Commission and Commissioner Biggie Smalls, the Commission. American Indian Removal Policy and the Trail of Tears. Now we're getting good. Andrew Jackson policy led to a shameful episode in U.S. history. And this is who we talking about.
The nigga on a $20 bill. That's why I don't like 20s, man. That's why I don't like 20s right there. I don't like 20s.
Well, I spend the shit out the motherfuckers. I don't plan on putting none of them in no frame, no way.
Right.
All right, now look. The American Indian Removal Policy of President Andrew Jackson was prompted by the desire of so-called white settlers in the South to expand into lands belonging to the 5 indigenous tribes. After Jackson succeeded in pushing the Indian Removal Act through Congress in 1830, the U.S. government spent nearly 30 years forcing indigenous people to move westward beyond the Mississippi River. This is the Trail of Tears.
Exactly. That's what we talking about.
But that's gonna come back up because that's part of the biblical contract.
Mm-hmm.
In the most notorious example of this policy, more than 15,000 members of the Cherokee tribes were forced to walk from their homes in southern states to a designated territory in present-day Oklahoma in 1838. Now, this is before the Dawes Roll.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Damn.
Many died along the way. The forced relocation became known as the Trail of Tears because of the great hardship faced by Cherokees. In brutal conditions, nearly 4,000 Cherokee died on the Trail of Tears.
Mm-hmm.
Go back up and look how long this took place. Look how long this was going on. Go back up.
Go back up right here.
Right there. They spent nearly 30 years forcing indigenous people to move westward beyond the Mississippi.
Man.
Right? Now, where do this happen? Somewhere in the Bible. Don't this happen somewhere in the Bible? Somebody was traveling around for 30, 40 years because they ain't had no homeland.
The Israelites.
Where was they coming from?
They were coming from ancient Kemet.
Mm-hmm. Who was they following?
Who they followed? Moses.
Okay, and Elijah Muhammad said Moses did what?
Go ahead. I can't remember.
Elijah Muhammad said Moses was the one that was sent to civilize the so-called pale man.
Yeah, okay, yeah, to put the boat. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I'm with you.
Remember, he said Moses had to sleep in the ring of fire because they were so savage they might eat him in his sleep.
Right. Go ahead. That's right.
Right? Yeah. Now, in here is 30 years. The biblical stories say 40 years.
Okay.
So it's a 40-year sojourn.
Okay.
Right? So this 30 years take us to 1860. 40 years take us to 1870. About 12 years before the Dawes Roll Act.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So from 1830 to the Dawes Roll, okay, go over to Google and pull Dawes Roll up again. We got to get the exact year again.
I got you. We hitting it. Man, this shit's sticky. Man, bro.
What you pulling up? I can't see that.
I'm pulling up the Dawes Roll, but like my shit was sticking. Don't let me type in. There you go, right here. It's the year is 1898. Hold up. Hold on. Let me go back. Let me go back. Just find out. Okay. The Dawes Roll, also known as the Final Roll, are listed individuals who accepted eligible tribe membership in the 5 indigenous tribes: Cherokee, Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Seminole. It does not include those whose application was stricken, rejected, or judged to be doubtful. Probably some dark-skinned people, right? Real Indians tried to file, and they got shot down, right? Those found eligible for the Final Roll were entitled to we just had read that, right? Allotments of land, usually as a homestead.
Mm-hmm.
The roll contained more than 101,000 names from 1898 to 1914, primarily from 18.
Okay, we just looking for the year right now, Elder. The year that it was passed again. So you go back to the main page. The year shouldn't be hard to find. It should be right there.
I got it right here. Okay, I got it. Hold up. Hold up. I got you. I got you. It's the year is 1893.
Okay, so from 1830 to 1893, that's further than 40 years of sojourn waiting to have a reservation.
Yep. Yep.
Right, actually, it's 63 years, ain't it?
Yeah, yeah. It says from 1893 all the way up into it's a long time. Hold up.
I thought it was first passed in the 1880s.
Hold up, like let me make sure this right here is right. It says right here 1893. So hold up. What year? Okay. 1887 is the date.
Okay, now that's more closer to the date I was thinking.
All right, the 1880.
So that's 47 years still though. That's the 40-year sojourn of the so-called Israelites.
Yeah.
Now this is now remember, while this is going on, the Indian Removal Act, right? They marching across the land, but they're supposed to be coming from the south.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that know basic American history know that the South was about 90% melanated us.
Mm-hmm.
So where did these pale people come from in the South?
Exactly.
They couldn't have been there. So we gonna go to where they come from in the next one. We just reviewing Dawes Road now, right? So scroll down. Let's read some more. There had been conflicts between whites and indigenous people since the first so-called white settlers arrived in North America, but in the early 1800s, the issue had come down to the so-called white settlers encroaching on the indigenous lands in the southern United States. Now, here go the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to Martin Luther King,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the mechanizing of the farms,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's telling you what was going on during this period right here. This is the period of time he's talking about when they began to mechanize the farms, and they hired us to teach the so-called settlers how to farm the land.
Mm-hmm.
All of the indigenous people know that we had to teach the people that came to the land how to farm because none of them knew how to work the unique land that was over here better than we did.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, 5 indigenous tribes were located on land. Notice they specify on land
Mm-hmm.
that would be highly sought for settlement,
Mm-hmm.
especially as was prime land for the cultivation of cotton. The tribes on the land were the Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Over time, the tribes in the South tended to adopt the so-called white ways, such as taking up farming in the tradition of white settlers, which we taught them how to farm. This is a known historical fact that all of us know without even asking who taught the so-called pale people how to farm. Remember the Mayflower came, they was dying of starvation because they didn't know how to cultivate food.
That's right.
Right. So in some cases, even buying and owning enslaved black people. They got to throw that in there, right?
They had to put that out for now.
I like that right there.
15.
Okay. In fact, settlers hungry for land were actually dismayed to see these tribes, contrary to all the grotesque propaganda about them being savages, adopted the farming practices of white Americans.
Yeah,
this don't even make sense. This is not even possible.
Yeah, right.
Right? But this is the story, the narrative they're giving us. So we're going to work with it. The accelerated desire to relocate indigenous people to the West was a consequence of the election of Andrew Jackson in 1828. Jackson had a long, complicated history with indigenous tribes, having grown up in frontier settlements where stories of attacks by them were common. Right? Now, before we go any further, so the question on Haile Selassie and the relation to Enlil.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now remember Baba did that scroll called Is Haile Selassie the Christ?
Yeah.
And you remember he went through his whole genealogy in here. He went back like a long way back.
Yeah.
Right. So why did Pops do that?
Go ahead.
You gotta know Haile Selassie.
Okay. Yeah. That's right.
If he want us, the children of Enlil.
Yeah.
Right? They looking for a homeland on earth. We ain't giving them shit.
White supremacists that were trying to meet the same objective, but he was just smart. Like if we all say we agree on something, but we can't work together. Me and him don't agree on nothing, but we do agree on one thing. We all want to have this connection for us to go back and forth to Africa. So he worked who he could work with. So I'm sorry, I was just because people always try to change the story and they half-ass do research. I'm especially about Marcus Garvey.
Now, a lot of when they be talking about Pan-Africanism, when you go over there, because if you did a Pan-African education, like Noble Ali said, get a good Moorish education. Right? So when you study the Moors, it's going to tell you something about a group of people that don't behave like you.
Right.
Right? When Garvey say form a confraternity, a world African confraternity, Asia meets Africa, right? The uniting of what they say, all of them say uniting the Asia and Africa. That's to who? That's the father and the mother. That's Isis and or Inanna and Enki, right? Or Isis and Osir. Asia. So bring mom and dad back together. What do that produce? The black dog, right? So that's coming over here.
And that's why Ryan's bill is out right now.
Right. So when we look at the foundations of government, they don't have nothing to us. Under the matriarchy, the process is a process of nature. The natural order of the spiritual ranking system will be expressed in the domain of the public or the human. We're gonna act as godly as we attain. If you don't attain godhood, you can't become godly. If you don't pay attention to your God self, you can't behave like a God. If all you focus on is your physical self, you can only behave within the confines of the laws of physics or the physical realm. But when you start using your God self, you above the now you looking down on this shit like, why did I give a fuck that somebody got murdered? I created that shit.
Yep.
Right? If you God, if you truly in your God self, when you created the good, the byproduct is it's the shadows, it's the counterfeit spirit, it's the reflection of the thing you created. So when you created all these righteous motherfuckers, they had to be inhabited with unrighteousness. That's why Paul say that when I try to do right, for some reason I can't do that shit. But when I ain't trying to do right, this motherfucking demon right here be all up in me. So every time I try to do right, this motherfucker rise up and make me behave according to him. Who is this motherfucker he's wrestling with? W.E.B. Du Bois put it like this in The Warring Soul, in the souls of black folks. He says, two identities in me. One, a construct of a white supremacist society created and gave to me as my personal self. And the other self that I'm always wrestling with, my true identity of blackness and who I really am. Right? When you talk about blackness under those, in that context, you're talking chaos energy. Because if you're fighting against the artificial self, the only thing can defeat it is control chaos.
Right.
So that means that you have to first go into the chaos. They call that going insane. And when you come out of the chaos is when you learn how to put the chaos in order in the 3D realm.
Mhm.
right? So once you start putting your own mind together, the side effect is, as you speak about what you did when you put your mind together, you reconstructing the mind of the rest of the lost.
Yes, sir.
Like that's why, like I said, because I was telling you, Marquise, I was like, I feel like her story had been told, right? Because everyone just kind of always talks about it. But I was like, that's the really true version. That's the first Phoenix. That's the real version of, conquering death, hell, and the grave. Because it wasn't just that she picked up the pieces of Osiris from the scattered land, which is picking us up right now. We're kind of going through a set situation. Because if you look at all throughout the land, this whole land, everyone is rising up through all the various places. But she also went down because in order to resurrect him, she had to go down into what they call hell. And then she created a phallus from light so that she could create a new life and resurrect. So if you ever have an offset or Isis altar, you got to have not only a feather, but you have to have something that is resurrecting of dealing with quote unquote death or resurrection. You can't just have no offset altar and just have something cutesy. You got to have something that she represents resurrection in life and death in there. And so people have kind of minimized her story. And so I always have to retell it properly in the proper context of the true divine feminine energy of the rising of the true Phoenix, because she is the rising of the Phoenix. Like that is the energy.
Okay, now something else that we need to ponder when we're looking at that. The
Mm-hmm.
humanity of it, meaning the mortal aspect,
Mm-hmm.
right? When Osiris was killed, that was the love of her life.
Yes.
So we don't think that she fell apart emotionally.
Right.
And when she was putting him back together, it never crossed nobody's mind that she was creating her pathogenic son that they call Heru.
Right.
Right? So in other words, she was teaching his son to be just like his daddy.
Mm-hmm.
So what she do in the end? She resurrected the father and the son.
Mm-hmm. And why we have to have the divine feminine and masculine. Like that's why they wanted to
Always,
separate them. Because
always.
they know together we powerful. So that's why it's a requirement that the
And that's
divine.
the sick part, man. I'm not. We say, and one of the funny thing about being a sovereign entity, a god, or whatever we want to call ourselves now, right? We look at everybody else around us, man. Like I be around so many people. Like you ever just be around some people and just be like, damn. You know what I'm saying? People be lost like a motherfucker. You just be trying to figure this shit out. Like that's where I'm at with it. I'm trying to save as many. I don't know where I'm at with it. I'm trying to save as many people as possible. But you know how that shit is. Like brother said, shit. A lot of people just here for the fuel flame. But I just noticed that a lot in New Orleans, a lot in Mississippi. Like I come to them with a brand new way of thinking. Like yo, this is right. You know what I'm saying? You see, I'm still alive. I went out there. I stepped outside the box. I'm back. And this is what we got here. We can try this. It's different. We can leave all the other shit alone. And some motherfuckers just stuck. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm just in between. Do we rebuild? Like he said, we've already been doing this for so long. It's like, for real quick though, if you look at the screen, the way our screen is split right now, it kind of look like a Dogon. I can't pronounce the name, but the Dogon mask, which is actually a big thing tonight. Also the currency thing, back to what you're talking about, because I don't want to get too far off. You were talking about full moon, eclipse, Taurus, money, eclipse in your money, war in your money. Or should we attack? Some people are saying we're going to take that as I don't want to attack the industry right now. I take that as think about it, Taurus, attack the industry right now, attack everything that makes sense right now. Right? Oh, real quick before we forget, CMOS. Niggas about to be selling CMOS on the corners like weed around this motherfucker. They're trying to ban CMOS. CMOS.
Okay, let me give you a spoiler. Anything that you think that they trying to ban, they trying to get your attention with that shit.
I peeped that too. Yeah, I was trying to figure that shit out myself.
Look, if they think that if you go, because you got a person that be trying to avoid those woke niggas, those campus niggas, or those Muslim niggas. You got people that actively avoid those niggas that's always talking that knowledge shit. So, in order to get one of them motherfuckers to pay attention to one of them niggas that's talking that knowledge shit, when they bring up Sabi, right? And they got enough Nipsey Hussle in them to know who Dr. Sabi is and that he advocated CMOS, right? So now he was ducking all of the knowledge motherfuckers, but now they finna ban CMOS. Then he go, that's how you crack through the conscience of a motherfucking hardhead.
Right.
It's all
It's so hypocritical. You talking about we the niggas is dumb. Like we acting like, oh, our ancestors this, our ancestors. You let them break the treaties. They breaking treaties right now with the freedom of speech. The freedom of speech.
You ain't looking at it.
No, I get it. But on the God status, they got Kyrie pent up in the corner for his speech. On some, we want bans because you said something. What happened to freedom of? What happened to these articles that we know that don't exist? But why does right now as gods? Why are we penetrating? Like, where's the comeback of the beautiful? Kyrie, you don't got nobody smart enough around you to be like, we're suing you for going against our freedom of speech, or does that go back to the contract thing? The thing when you sign contracts.
I think I understand. Just to see that people got to get exposed. It is what it is. They got to be drug. I mean, it just kind of, it is what it is. Like, that's why I think I mean, I'm moved and meaning I'm supporting, but I'm not moved because I understand this. Part of eclipse season is it's exposing people too. Like, that's part of what eclipses do. It opens up, it exposes, like not just in the Kyrie, but also in people's individual lives. So you have to look at things are like stuff is going to come out in people's individual lives, in the spirit realm, in political realms, and finance. Like, shit is just in the open. Like, you lay this shit out on the table.
Why they never took Mardi Gras from New Orleans?
Because we would tear that bitch up.
You can't.
Right, because it's something in the people that if you take that away from them, it causes them to react like a person detoxing from a drug.
Mm-hmm.
They rebel because they can't. They used to having an open ancestral channel,
Right.
and now motherfuckers trying to close that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look at it. With the guy, listen, look at it with the guideline. You not finna stop a motherfucker from New Orleans from having Mardi Gras. So what do? You make that motherfucker to a big deal every time they have it.
Right.
Right? So they know that it's still there, but it's only a big deal in New Orleans and you everywhere else.
Oh, you try to temper the energy and make it seem like it's commercialized or try to minimize it. Yeah.
Right? No, try to make it seem like it's some evil demonic shit that they only do in New Orleans.
Right. Right.
1,000 pardons. Just say we just did the Google, just a 21 with the OG Tahir, with the OG, the goddess herself, Sunni Patterson. When I tell you, fuck all the bullshit, come out there for yourself and see the shit. When I tell you, we weren't just stomping to be seen. We stomping was the white people neighborhoods, the Irish neighborhoods, the Jew neighborhoods, and we was stomping out that bitch. Skinheads was out there. We didn't. I wasn't trying to do all that with the cameras. I'm trying to show the beauty of it, but it was skinheads out there, bitch. Like New Orleans, they bought it, but we were stomping on that shit, saying, and we were reminding them, yeah, we remember we killed y'all one time. It literally that ceremony was saying, we killed y'all and we slaughtered y'all right here. We remember, and let's dance about it, and let's talk about it, and let's play about it. We had the demon out there with us.
Yeah, I
God, demon, you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, it's on some other shit. Like, we still stomping on motherfuckers. It's just motherfucking, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to interject that part, but it's bigger than just, oh, it's being seen. No, it was a whole ritual. We were stomping on their shit. We were stomping on their grave. We were laughing. We were dead. We went to the slave quarters in New Orleans and went down there and said, yeah, we bringing our ancestors with us. You know what I'm saying?
People on New Orleans energy. People don't overstand because, I'm Louisiana folk Creole. Like, that's what my people say. People sleep on the energy and power that's still to this day that's sitting in New Orleans. Like, they don't sleep on them because them people still down there do what they got to do. And they'll do it with a smile. Like, I'm talking about all the time, every day in and day out. They got as much going on. I would dare to say as I ate it. Like, it's for to me an American portal. New Orleans has kept it going. It's a reason they try to give a bad reputation and say, "Well, don't mess with that Louisiana girl. Don't
when it comes to real, I ain't even gonna put that out there no more. That's just for the dumb ones. They say bad reputation, but that's for people that just don't know shit.
I don't care. I don't care. But I'm saying the reason why, just like how they talk about IAT, they talk about Louisiana, in particular, the New Orleans or the Baton Rouge point, but the New Orleans, because it's an energy down there and it's a power down there. And to this day, like, I'm telling you what I know. Yeah, I'll just say it, and they have kept it going. And to me, it's a reason that I feel like that they have used to put those hurricanes and was constantly attacking them, just like they was attacking IAE with hurricanes and earthquakes, because they were attacking the people because it's energy and they could feel that energy and those ceremonies that was coming from that portal. Them people be always putting in work. They ain't never stopped, never.
So
not in New Orleans.
A good thing to explain like where we at right now, energetically. And people understand this is okay. So you got to understand we in a transitional time from going from the lunar moon cycle into the solar sun cycle. That's the natural transitional phase on the 3,600 year elliptical orbit. 2,400 years of that, and some change is how often we change the age.
Right. We're in a changing of an age right now.
Okay, so we going from the Piscean age into the Aquarian age, The Piscean age, the motto that goes with the Piscean age is "I believe."
And we're going to knowing. Yeah,
Yep.
from believer to knowing.
Right. And the one for Aquarius is
I know.
"I know."
Hmm.
Right. I can prove this shit here.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, the people that used to
Hmm.
believed in it long enough for it to be in the collective unconscious, so it can
Hmm.
be downloaded and utilized for the advantage of the people.
Hmm.
All of their beliefs becomes our responsibility to manifest. So we don't have
Hmm.
to believe that shit.
Right.
They did that for us,
Right.
right? So the phoenix, what, goes down in its own ashes
Hmm.
because we burnt yesterday the fuck down,
Over. Over.
and that's why the sun had to come up for us to have a new day from the ashes.
And this is and the eclipse energy is a 6 month cycle. So that cycle, and it's interesting you said Pisceonic because their Saturn, meaning their harmonic return, ending their Saturn energy, all that dark energy is at March 23rd, 2023. So that's what I'm saying. They're closing out completely, not only their cycle, but also them having to receive their harmonic debts for everything they've done, all that blood sacrificing, all that murdering, lying, taking money, taking people's indigenous land, stealing of the planet. That's another reason they're nervous and trying to do the stuff because they're a lot of what they're doing is trying to they think tamper their own harmonic return galactically and astrologically that's coming on them starting the first one is March 7th, but then March 23, 2023, which it sits in for 19 of their years. And they're the one who created this fake time construct. So, yeah. And we'll be sitting in our return of taking back our land and rebalancing the energies and stuff. So, yeah, it's a cleanup.
Since you mentioned for the last year, we've been in the birth chart or the natal chart for the United States. It's
Mm-hmm.
been in the Pluto retrograde.
Well, no, they're getting ready to start it. It hasn't started yet. They're going to be in a Pluto retrograde starting March 7th, 2023. So, but they've been in there. We've been in our Saturn and Aquarian, meaning us as a collective have been in our Aquarian energy. But America and kind of the Great Britain is getting ready to start their shit officially in March. But it's kind of getting the what I call on the runway, like with the plane on the runway and the startup. That's what these eclipses have been doing. Is letting them know what's coming because this energy that we're going through now, which is why they closing the feds and having all this the tribunal stuff that you talked about, the inky. This is just a runway. This shit ain't even hit yet. That's why they nervous because it haven't even really started. This is just a runway. The plane ain't even in the air yet.
Sure. Okay. So when we going into the Pluto retrograde, ain't that like here's all of your shit back?
Yeah, that's what they call that the Pluto return. So their Pluto Aquarian return, which is the place that they sit in when they officially stole the land in that 1776, it's all your shit back. And that's officially for them. That date for that one is March 7th, 2023. And then their Saturn return in Pisces, because they decided to live under this Pisceonic monetary in particular system and even political system. That's why I said political system is done. So they're getting both of their shit at the same time. And the thing with the Pluto one, that's not something that comes like every 3 months, whatever. It's a once every 200, I want to say 50 or 60 something years. So this is their complete, and it sits for a long time, like 19 years. So, and that second one is March 23rd. So they're literally getting them all at the same time.
So that's what these sigils say in the layout of DC.
Mm.
That's what the translation is. What you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Because it says it's a triple overlay:
Yep.
financial,
Mm-hmm.
political,
Mm-hmm.
and really it's legal, but it translates as governmental.
Yep.
But it's legal. The law is being returned back to its proper position, which is the great law.
Yep.
Right.
We're going to have
So
a lot of debts, finances, and of course, return of the land. So all of that stuff has got to reset, basically.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So the ancient code of kings and the rights to the earth right both is in agreement that once the original system is restored,
Mm-hmm.
then balance returned back to the land, the air, and the water. And
Yes.
that's the exercise of the great law.
Yes.
So if this was to be facilitated by making people close out the conjures, now it would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because any great conjure that's open
causes a delay in the ability for the system to turn over.
Right. That's why it has to be closed out. Like I even had that discussion. It has to be closed out prior to March 7, 2023. Like all the countries have to be closed. That's like the final day, period. Because if it's open, then we don't need it open. Yeah.
So somebody said, what's the significance of May is Mary, minus the R, right? Mary is the rebellious woman, the mother of the sun. So that's Isis energy as the protective mother, born in March, right? And March is it's Pisces,
That's
Aries,
Pisceanic.
right?
No,
Pisces.
they'll be under Pisceanic. Well, interestingly enough, one hits under Pisces and one hits in the conjunctive Pisces Aries, but it's a Pisceanic energy though.
Mm-hmm. And Aries come in and also in May, right?
In March.
I mean, in
Yeah.
March.
No, yeah, March, April.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it comes in March 22nd to 23rd. So it's so when their Saturn return hits, it's technically going to hit ironically under Aries, which is under the Bookman.
and that's the fire and war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Aries is the god of war.
Yes, and he's ruled by Mars, which is the god of war, which is now sitting in Gemini doing its thing because it's collecting energy right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we slowed it down now. I think we got it to a pace where we could get to
Yo, I'm over here reading the messages. I'm reading the messages. It's beautiful. Like I be putting on from Mississippi and Florida, and the Mississippi, Florida, Louisiana connection, and they are showing so much love to Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? The night full moon, man, send some power down so we can stop down on it. You know what's out here. Y'all know what we're fighting up against down here. Send some manifestation of like help me them destroy this shit down here. Like anyway, but you want to speak on the Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi connection?
Well, we used to walk the trees from Louisiana all the way to Florida. So they chopped them all down.
Even through Arkansas, actually, too.
Yeah, well, they chopped down the trees off. They gutted the East Coast for their trees.
Yeah.
Right. Most of this land was forested because we chose to have it forested for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
When they came in, they wanted to be able to see us riding on the backs of the alligators in the Everglades. They couldn't see us because it was the thicket was too thick. And then when we pop up on their ass, we right there in their face.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the modern reference is the purpose of Agent Orange in the Vietnam War is the same purpose they were setting forest fires over here.
Mm.
We used to be so in tune with the gators. They had to use our children as food for alligators in order to get them to develop a taste for our food.
Facts.
And that's why you notice a lot of slave revolts had meetings in swamps, whether it was Florida, IAT, or whatever, because we was very in tune and always have been in tune in our
Man, I'm not at home right now, but both of y'all seen some of the artifacts I have, and all the artifacts are books for us, and all of them show literally our ancestors, the women riding the crocodiles away from their enemies, or sending the crocodiles to the ancient dragon. I'm from Panama. My grandfather's from Panama, and then my other side of my family is from Benin. Both sides don't know each other per se, but except for if they're saying it's a slave trade, but I'm thinking it's going back to Mensa Bukari II, where it was 3,000 ships that came from over there. So they try to make it seem like it's all slavery, but we came over here on business as well.
We've been trading and marrying with people from Africa.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's hard to explain it, but most people don't be on. You know what I'm saying?
In the islands, in the South Americas, and Southern America, we was marrying people from Africa the whole goddamn time.
Right.
On the West Coast, we was marrying Polynesians, Asians, motherfucking Filipinos.
Yes.
We would going across the water. They, bring wives to trade from the royal families to make family treaties and shit through marriage. Right. So when we realize that, we understand that the whole slave narrative. That's why it falls apart. Because the prehistoric bloodlines have all of this testimony that overrides what any of their books say.
Right.
So we know that when we was iron workers on the railroads in the Southwest, that we was working next to the motherfuckers that they kidnapped in China.
Yep.
But we don't want to talk about the Chinese slave trade in the Americas.
Mm-hmm.
But we was working right next to them.
Yeah.
They thought we were some phenomenal working motherfuckers. Listen to the song Big John. Listen to the song John Henry.
And they come the one
John
they also dressed up
Henry
as the
was a
bunk
man.
boys.
He was a big old man. You know, they go to describing him.
John
Hold
Henry
on.
was hammering on
Please
that
don't do it.
mountain. They said he
OG.
was 10 feet tall in that song. You remember that from the nursery rhyme? I remember that in elementary school. Because they said John Henry was hammering on that mountain. He was either, they said 8 feet tall or 10 feet tall. I remember that. They say he hammered so hard that he broke his heart. But yeah, I remember that song. That's when they was cutting down our crystal trees, our big ass trees and stuff.
Mhm.
Oh, OG, 1 second though. Someone said a question or made a statement, and I do want to address that. They said there was never no slave ships found.
They
There's no
do.
slip. There's no ships over here found for anything. There's no ships over here for white people either. We got to get out of the narrative of I guess everybody wants to be
We
free
found
of.
shit. Look, we got
You know,
shit,
I'm addressing that real quick because
but we
people
don't
were
got no
saying that,
slave ships.
and we're disrespecting the ancestors. Shit happened. A lot of shit happened, and we can't discredit one for the other. I think that's where we get it, like over this or that, and we try to force it. But the slave trade did happen. Niggas were getting traded all around the South Americas and America. That shit happened, but there was still niggas over here too. It's not one or the other. But
Listen,
people be like, well, there's no slave ships. Where are the Europeans? You don't see their ships either. You don't see the
yes, we
great ship
do.
Jesus. Oh,
All
wait,
you gotta
oh,
do is
you?
look up Ellis Island.
That's
They were
crazy.
coming up. Look, we got the ships, but we don't have the sardine pack slave ships they talk about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's just an overlay for Notre Dame University because the plot was a collegiate educational plot. It was developed in the educational boardrooms of Rome,
Mm.
right? It just so happened that Notre Dame is in France. And France is where Paris is, and Paris is the city of
Mm-hmm.
ISIS. France means Frank,
Mm.
right? So if France means Frank, and Frank is a male name for Francis
Mm.
in the English, Francis being the Latin. To do what's necessary to offer the proper aid and assistance to your child. But one of the things is if you have a boy or girl that they say is hyperactive, the girls we developed in Atlanta is something called gymnastics. That's for girls with high Shakti energy. They diagnosing those girls now with ADD, ADHD, bipolar disorder. They just not teaching them how to harness that energy. So we gave them gymnastics. The more rebellious but more highly feminine types was given figure skating, and they was given different what's that synchronized swimming because they're controlling the less hostile rebellious energy. But gymnastics is more aggressive. Some of the females, if they lift a little bit of weights, it'll help them tune down that high energy output, and then they become more. If you look at Dominique Dawes now, beautiful woman. If she wouldn't have went through the gymnastics training that she did, she would be a problem. She would be a problem. She would be one of them sisters that the system has to mount an army against. But she was able to temper that energy, that high Shakti energy. That's them warrior women. And we had exercises like roller skating is a variant of figure skating, right? The girls used to
Right.
skate and the guys used to skateboard. It's it was just a harnessing of the energy. For the boys, shit, take them outside, let them motherfuckers run till they wear down. Then you
Right.
try to teach them something. And don't be scared to give them the CBD oils that doesn't have THC in it because it relaxes the central nervous system.
Right. Right.
Right. So that's a very, very important thing. Then you got teas you can give them to help inner peace, like skullcap tea. Uh, Another one I think is called
Jonathan Winters tea. Um, uh, what's the other one? It's a couple of different teas that, but it calms the
Right.
central nervous system, and then now they can focus. See, they
Right.
rather give them a pharmaceutical that's going to give them permanent damage, so you can't. It's harder to correct them later. You
Right.
don't need that. It's herbs. It's herbs for all of
Exactly.
this. Right now, I'm a little rusty on my herbology, but I used to know this off the top of my head 5, 10 years ago. I
Uh-huh.
used to just run it all down because I gave the same stuff to people I used to work with. They come in to work, all distraught about their child, and then I talk to them. I'm like, "Well, just try this," and they came
Right.
back and be like, "I don't know where you got that remedy from." you know, yeah, but they work, right?
It works.
So yeah, so it's different stuff depending on the child.
Absolutely. And you know, in our tradition, we it was very common for us to give our children herbs. And you know, Caribbean people would drink tea. Actually, I have mine right here. Depending on what's going on. So, you know, soursop is a great one. We have it on our website, but you can get it. The good organic soursop is really
Yeah.
good for calming the central nervous system. It's great for sleep and relaxation if there's cases of insomnia. And it's also good for any type of cell in the body that grows abnormally, i.e. cancer, i.e. tumors. It goes in and eats away at the bad functioning cell that keeps the good one intact. So it's very safe. Men, women, children, all ages can take soursop leaf, the leaf, not the fruit in this context. It's really good. Lemon balm is also amazing for children with nervous stomach. So the anxiety seems in going to the stomach, or when they're going to school and they're like, "Oh, mommy, my stomach hurts," or something. If they're leaving and you know their stomach is hurting them, it doesn't know why. Lemon balm is really good. It's also very high in antimicrobial, antibacterial, so it'll keep them healthy and strong. And these are some things that we can do to help ourselves. Like the mother gives us air, water. You know, these are all of the resources that are all around us, so we can help to heal ourselves. So family, think about getting on this herbal journey. Find out what's around you, what's local, and what can really help you to be well. So I 100% concur on that.
So just a couple of things. The yoni, when it's alkaline, none of the diseases that affect us wouldn't be there. Nothing can live
Right.
there in the alkaline state. The herpes can't live there. It need to be in an anaerobic environment. Gonorrhea can live there because it needs an aerobic environment. All of these diseases that we run into. If the woman's yoni is alkaline instead of acidic, it can't exist there. It can't stay there. It won't. It won't.
Right.
It can't survive. It's like
Right.
dropping one of these kids off 8 years old in the desert, telling them to find your way to a civilization. They're not going to survive because the environment is too hostile for what they're capable of doing. Right. The
Exactly.
cancer. Yeah, candida yeast is probably the number one killer that we don't never hear about. Right.
That's true.
Cancer is from DNA replication, and then the DNA parts break off from the chain and become a free radical. The broken chain then is deformed. If you're not taking the supplemental amino acid, or if you don't have enough vitamin and mineral components in the blood to rebuild that DNA strand, it's gonna attack itself. Right?
Right.
Once it starts folding in on itself, it's gonna try to correct the error, but it can't. Then it's gonna grow what you call a mass or a tumor, which is a whole bunch of those motherfuckers. But the
Right.
simple process of cleaning the liver increases or decreases your cancer risk by 60% just by cleaning your liver. The cleaning your
Wow.
liver also decreases congestive heart failure by
Yes.
like 90% because congestive heart failure, the fluid buildup in the heart cavity is the perspiration of the liver.
Mm.
Cleaning the liver, it'll get rid of about 95% of high blood pressure because most high blood pressure, they don't tell you, is called portal hypertension, where the congested liver causes the portal valve to the liver to back up the pressure in the rest of the body because it can't effectively filter through the liver.
Right.
Right. So just cleaning the liver alone, that's milk thistle, burdock root, dandelion root, just those three alone, and it starts to increase your health.
Yes.
Right. Now, your intestines, you clean your liver first because the bile
that allows your digestive tract to run comes from the liver through the spleen. So when your bile ducts become congested, your stool is abnormal, which causes stomach problems. The acids begin to burn the stomach lining because it doesn't have the bile barrier to block it. Right.
Right.
So all of
Right.
these things is critical for health, and not just for the female, but for the men too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've seen too, I don't know if you noticed, Brother Rod, but when I see, like, I had liver disease about 10 years ago, and I also had cervical cancer, which I healed myself of completely, and I help others to do the same. And what I noticed about the liver in particular, since you brought it up, that the emotion that causes, what is the energy, the vibration, all right, has me thinking. And so what I've seen is that the emotion, rather, of frustration, the emotion of anger, sort of sits in the liver, right? And so
Oh Lord, don't let them start this shit when we start getting good. I don't know what's going on. Well, she'll come back in. I'm pretty sure. She'll come back in.
all right.
All right, there you go.
Thank you.
I was like, this Instagram doing this BS again.
Grateful to be back. Thank you all so much. And so when we see these emotions, right, that sit in the liver, we think of anger and frustration. And so what is causing the anger? What is the causing the frustration? Because I've helped people with these conditions, and if the energy itself, what are we angry? If we angry at the world? Are we angry at our mother? Are we angry at how we was raised? Are we angry at the job, society? All of those emotions are frustrating and sit right in the liver. Right. And so I think when people are talking about healing and detoxing, you also have to, again, like I said, the emotions of it. And so it's just so important just to think about the emotions. And another thing too, people who wake up 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, according to the Chinese time clock, I think 3 to 5 is the hour of the liver, where it's working this best to detox over your, and you can't go back to sleep constantly. And you may be frustrated subconsciously. You may be angry at something subconsciously. And it may be just an indication, just to look and see what energy is trying to get your attention and start to heal that, to help also to heal your liver, along with what Brother Rod mentioned. Milk thistle seed is also a great herb. If you have a little bit of liver left, you go on a great cleansing diet and use milk thistle seed in addition to the herbs Brother Rod mentioned. It will help to regrow and regenerate your liver. It's very good. And another way you can tell if you have a liver condition, you can look at your skin. Is it blotchy? Is it uneven? Are you breaking out? Is it itchy? Is it eczema like? These are some things that you can look to self-diagnose yourself. A lot of people want to run to the doctor and get a cream for this and get a cream for that, but mother's like, I got a protocol for all of that. What you're
Yes.
going to do is fast. What you're going to do is take these herbs. What you're going to do is relax. What you're going to do is do some spiritual work. These are just all messengers to say, hey, pay attention to what's out of alignment. So anytime you see anything, it's always just a messenger of what might be out of alignment.
So we got different glands that secrete different secretions. Every one of our emotions is tied to a gland. This is what the old Kemetic medical system taught.
Right.
Right. So all of the glands is responsible for um, running you through the emotion to help you resolve that energy.
Ah,
The secretions is there, right? So when I say, for instance, when you fall in love, what is going on in the body? Oxytocin production in male and female. You have a rapid dopamine rush in the system whenever the person is pulling on your heartstring. Then you produce what they call neuroepinephrine, and then you produce beta endorphin. That's the chemicals your brain produce as the love cocktail. The side effect or why it's doing this is because
right.
somebody is causing your mitochondria to say that's a match. Mitochondrial is responsible for powering your cells. And it's also responsible for translating the love energy into the cells. That's why you can look at a woman and she's like, "Oh, girl, you in love."
I can
Right.
look at you and tell, and she just be giggling. How you know, girl? How you know? I can tell it's written all over your face. I can see you,
Right.
right? Dudes can't do that. We can't look at each other and be like, "Man, you in love." We don't do that. We can't
Right.
see it. But the woman see it instantly because she controls mitochondrial. When somebody's mitochondrial is moving, she recognizes it because
Mm.
she's looking for the opportunity to move somebody's mitochondria. I'm gonna
That's
turn that
true.
nigga shit up. I'm looking for me in the daytime with a
That's
flashlight,
true.
right? So when the sisterhood get together, if you put three women in love in the same room, and can't nobody in there be mad, you can't be disappointed, you can't be angry. It just you can try. You come in, and then when them three sisters look at you and smile, you leave me alone. I can't even be fucking mad. Like it's that energy, that love energy, that mitochondrial secretion that cause, and it's also responsible for what we call the placebo effect of healing, which is the healing of anything that's wrong with us. Right. So when you talk about in the Bible when they say touch the hem of his garment, that's the queen of heaven and earth. It's the only one you can do that with because she's the only one that carry that much love. That's a whole lot of love
Right.
energy that can touch the hem of their garment and be made whole. Right.
Yes.
That's a lot of mitochondrial output. But then watch what she say. Who touched me?
Right. Right.
How the fuck you know you touched your clothes, lady?
Your clothes.
How you know? Right. So that's
Right.
the thing right there that keeps that energy. That's how you know that the Christ ain't no man. Aside from going to
Right.
Greek and it's spelled IESOUS, that says ISIS all day long,
Right.
using the grammar key.
Right.
Aside along from that, the character, love your enemy.
Love. Love. Love.
And kill him with love. Let the love do it. Man, fuck that shit. I'm gonna beat that nigga ass. No, baby, you can't fight everybody. Everybody not worth you fighting.
That's
Wish
right.
them love and send them on their way and watch what life do to them because you can't match that shit.
That's right.
You can't match that shit. My mama made me forgive some people I did not want to forgive. I look at him now and I'm like, I'm glad I ain't killed that ratchet motherfucker because he done missed all that punishment. He done missed all
Right.
that punishment. I can see that
Yes.
shit now. Yep.
Right.
Pull your ass up by your bootstraps, nigga. You tried to motherfucking murder me and I let your ass go and look at you now.
Mm.
Look at you now. Look what life did to you 25
Right.
years, 30 years later. Life did some shit
Right.
to your ass that my revenge could have never did. You can't be a dirty motherfucker and that shit sustain you. It's gonna
That's
kick you
right.
down. And the only people I ever had any malice toward been some dirty motherfuckers.
Right.
That's it. I don't have no malice toward nobody that ain't doing nothing to me. Or the people I love. I don't
Right.
got no malice. I don't walk around. Even the people I be mad at when they ain't around, I don't feel a drop of anger.
That's so
Ain't no
beautiful.
anger there. But when I see them, oh, I remember, motherfucker, I was mad at you. But look what life done
Yeah.
did to you. I ain't even mad no more.
Right. Right. You
You
ain't have
know,
to do
that's
nothing. You just freaking.
like, look, I used to tell dudes in the street, let him live. Life gonna do something to him that your bullet can't never
Yeah.
do.
That's true.
And life will kick your motherfucking the balls quick.
Yes. Yes. And I've been seeing a lot of that come quickly, that karmic cycle. I've been seeing it like people catching it. Like in this season we're in, I don't know what's going on or how the stars are aligned, but I've been seeing that thing come quick, quick, quick. And I'm like, ooh, I'm
You
so
think
glad I'm
it's
out of
been
it. Ooh, I'm so glad
you,
I'm out of work.
you think it's been coming quick? Wait till Tuesday.
Ooh,
Motherfuckers gonna
Tuesday.
get instant karma.
Ooh. No.
Soon as they start close, because they started the close of this Haitian revolutionary conjure Saturday, right? The first ritual be
Wow.
done. The first ritual be done Monday, and then that
Get
24-hour turnaround on that energy come Tuesday. A whole bunch of motherfuckers gonna be getting instant karma, and a whole lot of
Wow.
motherfuckers, Mother Nature finna turn off their brain and their heart.
You know what? That's funny you say that because my father, he's Haitian. I had asked him about it a year ago. I said, "What's up?" I feel like something. And he's like, "Oh, you know." And I said, "What about this conjure?" So that's one of the questions I had for you about how that conjure and that ritual is about to go down, how it's going to impact indigenous people, or how. Let me not say that. Let me say people who have been working on themselves, people who have been in alignment, versus those who've not been. Like, how will we be able to know the impact of this thing?
You're gonna be able to feel it, especially the
Mm.
sisters, because it's the return of the sweet water comes on the heels.
Uh-huh.
So there was a priestess who gave her life volunteer to sacrifice herself for us to be victorious in our war.
Indeed.
And then there's another priestess who was officiating, and it was a general in the military, and they needed a root worker. So they called in a guy from Jamaica they called the Bookman.
Mm-hmm.
Duddy Bookman came from Jamaica. I didn't notice at first, right? I didn't notice at first. I thought
Mm-hmm.
he was Haitian like Tucson. He wasn't. He was
Right.
from Jamaica. They sent for him. Now, the reason that it's still open is because every time the priesthood of Haiti was infiltrated by dirty Moors. They look
Ah,
like
okay.
us, but they out for the money. They not trying to get nobody. What we really use the voodoo and the hoodoo for, we really use it for healing more than anything else and defensive magic, right?
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Well, they didn't want to close the conjure because as long as that
Mm-hmm.
conjure was open, Haiti could suffer. The only one that appeased the gods
Right.
correctly was the one that we call Papa Doc. Papa Doc,
Mm.
if you go back and look at him, he used to paint his face with the white paint.
Mm.
That's the war paint, right? And he used
Mm-hmm.
to dress up like the Baron with the top hat and the long coat. Right. That's because he was kissing the god's ass literally to that's why he stayed in power so long.
So long.
Right? And he
Right.
could have increased the people's comfort in Haiti, but there's only so much you can do when a war conjure is open. You can't have a war conjure open and Oshun be present. That's not gonna happen. And Oshun
Right.
is
Right.
over the wealth and the sustenance of a people. So until that conjure closed, so since it was already open, when they called the 200-year conjure war in America, they sent Haitians to Florida.
Mm.
Everybody did. Jamaica sent them. You go down there, all you gotta do is look. They all on the land. That's because
Mm.
tribes came as far away as the Polynesian islands, the Tonga, the islands from Alaska, right? So every tribe sent somebody. That's why the majority of the people is condensed in that part of the land. We don't
Right.
like to live on top of each other like
Right. Um. Right. Right.
yeah, I had a call coming in, but I'm trying to finish this class first. Yeah, but we didn't live like that. So when they all came in, right, um, all of this made the war conjure have to be closed in Florida. The irony
Okay.
of it is the bookman had reached out to me. I didn't know it was him. I couldn't see him unless the priestess who officiated showed me who it was. The priestess who sacrificed live in Florida. The bookman is in Florida, right?
I heard you say
Tu-
that. Mm.
Tucson is making he's closer to Florida than he was born in Chicago, right?
Wow.
That's
Okay.
crazy because they say Chicago was settled by a Haitian
I heard
named
that.
Jean Baptiste du Sable, right? Which means John the Black Baptist in English.
Mm.
But Chicago been a
Mm-hmm.
metropolis for us. So they knew that's not a new city. New York not new. The metropolises of aged old times and the energy centers, all of the major cities. Right? So
Right.
when they all down there now to close the conjure, and I couldn't see the bookman until I seen the priestess who flipped the bookman. And I was like, holy shit. I was reading the lapis lazuli piece he sent me, right? And it was something that I couldn't see and I didn't know what it was. But soon as she flipped them to me, I looked at it and immediately know what it was. Right? So that changes everything. So they begin the closing of the
Right.
conjure, right? When he adjourned the court in the